you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, our latest things that makes official. Welcome to the big show. As always, the Chris Voss Show has been here for 16 years. Going on 2,600 episodes. We're at 2,500 because that's no small feat, folks. 48 new shows a month, and you better just stay listening. Keep up. We like the Netflix of podcasting, where you can binge anything you want on the Chris Voss Show, but we love that you binge everything. And I don't know if it's me or if it's just the amazing guests we have on the show. It's likely the guests. Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind. Anyway, guys, we have an amazing young man on the show. We're going to be talking about his book, The New Science of Momentum, Harnessing the Force that Fuels Greatness. Don Yaeger will be joining us on the show. He also has the co-authors Bernard Banks and Karen Cyphers, so you can easily find it there on the interweb if you search for them. I believe, do I have that right, Don?
Yes, that Bernie and I were the authors. Yeah, Karen was kind of a researcher for us.
Oh, okay, I see it now on the hardcover. It threw me for a second. I looked at the it says that on the hardcover, but it threw me. I was reading the PR sheet from the agency, but in the paperback it says Don Yaeger, an unknown author. So I was panicking there for a second.
No idea.
Might want to check with Amazon, see what they're drinking over there. You never know.
Exactly.
So Don is joining us on the show, as you can tell already. We kind of introduced him. He is the author of more than 30 books, including 12 New York Times bestsellers and a nationally recognized keynote speaker on leadership and teamwork. He's a longtime associate editor at Sports Illustrated. I think he's done the cover in February, hasn't he? Is it February?
Yeah, you probably recognize me from that.
You look great in that bikini, by the way. He has interviewed the world's greatest champions, from Michael Jordan to John Wooden. Oh, John Wooden and Michael Jordan. I shouldn't slight him, but John Wooden is such a great coach. Always go back to the basics and learn that from him. And distilled their insights into practical lessons for success. He also hosts the Corporate Competitor podcast, where he explores leadership through the lens of sports and business. Welcome to the show, Don. How are you?
I'm great, Chris. Although I got to tell you, I don't think I've ever heard a podcast host offer brain bleed as a reason to hang out with this conversation. So I'm looking forward. I'm just hoping that your guests don't experience it, but your listeners do.
Well, it depends on how good I do as a host. So sometimes there's brain bleed, but that's part of learning, right? It's kind of like, when you go to the gym and you exercise, you got to rip some muscle and stuff. A little bit of brain bleed helps the brain grow, I think. I'm not sure if that's true or not.
Okay.
I'll check with the attorneys and the doctors after the show. So Don, give us any .com. So where can people find you on the interwebs?
So donyaeger.com, and my name is Yaeger, but I own all spellings of my last name because it's often butchered, and I own them. I managed to figure out how to buy them all so that if you misspell my name, you'll still end up at the right place.
We still have a hitman looking for the guy who owns chrisvoss.com, and so we're working on that. But
somebody went out and bought your name.
Well, actually, it's a long story about what happened there, but I didn't get it. Some guy over in Europe who worked at Oxford, some old professor, he was on the internet faster than I was, and so he bought it. And then it got loose when he passed away, and it ran around, and finally a guy from SNL picked it up.
Saturday Night Live?
Yeah, he's a producer at Saturday Night Live named Chris Voss, and he bought it.
Funny.
And I had a bunch of sketch people trying to sell it to me at crazy prices, and I was like, I don't even know if you're for real. Yeah, but that's another story. So I'm glad you got that, and we'll just keep the hitman out there on the road. So give us a 30,000 overview. I'm kidding, folks. Don't do that. Give us a 30,000 overview of what's inside the new science of momentum.
Yeah, it was. So, Chris, if any of your listeners are sports fans, they might remember, most people do, there was a Super Bowl a few years ago in which the New England Patriots were behind 28-3 late in the third quarter to the Atlanta Falcons. Anybody remember that? And amazing, right? At the time, the odds makers actually gave Atlanta a 99.4% chance of winning the game.
Yeah,
late in the third quarter. But
no one comes back from that.
Yeah,
had.
Right, never had. Never before had anybody come back for more than 14 points in the Super Bowl. But a little thing happened, then a little thing happened again, and then pretty soon momentum changed jerseys. What was the Atlanta Falcons' advantage suddenly became the advantage of the Patriots. The end of the night, Patriots win in overtime, and the greatest comeback in the history of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And the next morning, I showed up at my office, brought all the creative people that work for me into a room, opened up the whiteboard, and wrote, "How does a moment turn into momentum?"
Yeah.
How did it happen last night? How did those of us who are engaged in sports, and I've spent my lifetime in it, believe we see it, right? You can feel it, you can understand it, but you can't define it, and you can't control it. At least that's what I thought at the time.
Somebody figured it out. So
I went out and spent the next 8 years interviewing the best in the worlds of politics. Got James Carville and Karl Rove to sit down with me and talk about
the Crypt Keeper, James Carville.
Yeah, how do you build momentum in a campaign? How do you make that happen?
I love James Carville, but
he's the best. That was one of the greatest interviews. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Then we did the world of the military. We sat down with David Petraeus and General Stanley McChrystal, two of the greatest generals of modern time.
Yeah.
How do you build momentum into a battle plan, right? How do you build toward momentum so that you can take the captured hill, right, if you will? In the world of business, we had the good fortune to have one of the co-founders of NVIDIA, the great technology company, sit down and talk to us about how they went from practically nothing to the first 4 trillion company, market cap company in the world, right? How did that happen? And in the world of sports, I obviously had great access and had everybody from Tom Brady, who was on the field that night, to some great coaches in all sports, talking about how momentum becomes their friend. And how do you and ultimately what we determined was there's a model that you can build to actually show how to create momentum, and out of that model it becomes apparent that you can actually manipulate momentum. You don't have to wait on it, you can create it. In the process of doing that, we found unbelievable the numbers and energy, and it was a really incredible project to get a chance to work on and bring to the world. And today, to Chris Voss, who doesn't own his website. Audience.
Yeah, I own chrisvoss.net. Does that count? Anyway, yeah, and now Tom Brady's working for the Raiders, trying to create some momentum. And it's not working.
Guys, got a lot of work. Got a lot of work to do there.
He's got a lot of work ahead of him because it's my favorite team from childhood, the Raiders. They just lost 0-31, and I think it was 31 against. Does it matter at that point? Against the Kansas City, our arch rivals. So 0, an egg. But I don't know. We're rebuilding for the last 20 years.
It's a long rebuild.
Yeah, I've gone back to cutting myself and sharp objects, and I can. The thing I love about my Raiders, just to make an aside here, is they get the season over right away. They don't mess with you through where you watch most of the season.
Right, you don't want to be hanging on in December hoping.
Yeah, it's over in the first 3 games, and so you can just turn off the TV and have your Sunday to yourself.
Yeah.
And that way you don't have to hide all the sharp objects every Sunday. So how do you give us some tease out on the book, I guess? How does one utilize this momentum and get people fired up, change things, especially when you're on the ropes? Like, would you say that, remember the rope-a-dope with Muhammad Ali, Rumble the Jungle? That was probably a momentum thing, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, he knew how to wear. He knew how to wear his opponent out, right? And there's that. What's the greatest way to kind of flip the script? Is one of the great ways is you just have it. The second great way is you take it, and that's what he did, right? He said, you pound away. You're gonna be
laugh at him.
You're gonna be exhausted in a few minutes, and then I'm gonna show you what I got.
Yeah.
So,
but it's funny to see him laugh at him.
Yeah. But the biggest takeaway for me, right, is that I had always been that guy who probably, like you, believed momentum. You had to wait on something to happen, like a spark, an interception. Though you guys don't have very many of those with your Raiders.
We give interceptions.
You give interceptions.
Yeah, we share that way. We like to share. We're givers.
So you know what it's like to be on the opposite end. But I used to think you had to wait on those moments in order to create momentum. But what I came to understand, when you work with the very best in the business, those who are just game changers in this space, is that there is work that can be done on the front end that allows you to be more adept at grasping those moments, smaller moments, and turning them into something much larger than they probably otherwise should have been. And the real goal, we actually created a model that I think I mentioned, and on the front end, there's 3 elements. There's 3 things you have to do. Then there's the spark. And then on the back end, there's 3 ways that you can amplify it. And then we actually, we reverse the model so that people who are trying to turn things around have a roadmap for themselves as well.
How much is believing in this? Like I saw something recently where someone was either interviewing Brady or they were talking about Brady in that moment of that Super Bowl, and they showed his audio of him working the sidelines. Basically, I don't want to quote him, so don't write me, folks. But he's basically, it's not over till it's over. We're going to do this. We're going to come back. We're going to prove
we were built for this.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
We practiced for this all season long. I mean, those are the words he was saying, because yes, at its core, momentum, yes, there's a lot of science involved, but at its core, when you get to neuroscience, the neuroscience of momentum, this is where the really smart people are digging in on this. People that I've got a chance to interview and learn from. At its core, momentum is a belief system, right? It's a state of mind. It's an understanding that I'm in a unique opportunity here to do something special. And if you believe that, you have a real opportunity to do something special.
Yeah.
Conversely, if you believe, my God, here we are again, we're going to get our tail whipped. It's going to be another embarrassing afternoon. I got to go home and answer to my neighbors with why I was so bad today. Guess what you're going to be? You're going to be pretty bad today.
Yeah. Well, Giselle's divorced them either way, so
Well, but at the end of the day, she's got a jiu-jitsu instructor and he's doing okay.
That's true. Yeah. Plus, she just that extra Super Bowl just picks up more child support now. Anyway, I'm just teasing. I don't know what's going on with that thing, but yeah, I mean, you got to. I don't know. Joke aside, if you're Tom Brady and she runs off with the yoga instructor, I mean, that kind of has to hurt a little bit. He's Tom Brady,
right?
I mean, I think he's better looking now than he's ever been before. Like, you look at him and you're just like,
crazy.
Wow.
I know. Yeah. You look at those. You look at his draft video, like his 40-yard dash and all that other stuff when he's standing with his shirt off, and you go, "Oh my gosh, that's embarrassing." And then look at him today. He looks like he's the king of the kingdom.
We need to figure out how to clone him or find out what fountain of youth he's drinking out of or something. What's going on with that whole thing? I mean, but yeah, he's the GOAT. So, You delved into this. You mapped out how this can be replicated, right? There's a formula to this.
Not a formula, but a model.
Okay,
kind of
a model. Okay,
right? Yeah, a formula.
Does it work all the time, or?
Well, the thing about the model is the model predicates itself upon there's certain things you have to do, and if you do these things, that you're more capable when a spark occurs. And one of the things that happens is that too often you're unprepared for the spark. You're unprepared for the moment, right? Yeah. How many times have you seen? We'll go back to your Raiders, right? Sorry about that. I'm going to pick on.
No, it's okay. You can do it. We punch them on the show.
Yeah.
I might cry a little bit, but it's okay. Just ignore the weeping.
In football, they call them sudden change moments, right? It's an interception, it's a fumble recovery, and suddenly your offense was sitting on the sidelines, probably doing whatever Las Vegas people do, and then suddenly an opportunity opens up, and you got to run on the field, and you got to be ready. And often the defense wasn't ready either because they were probably sitting on the sidelines relaxing as well.
Like, we got this one; it's in the bag.
Right, and so suddenly you have an opportunity. How often do you see in Las Vegas the offense they hand the ball off as if because they weren't ready with a play for a sudden change. They weren't ready for the moment. And so the best teams, you watch them, right? A sudden change occurs. That next play, they are going down. They're throwing 40 yards because they figure you probably weren't ready. You were counting on this being. We're going to take a little. We're going to play around a little bit, right? Yeah. And so those who are prepared for sudden changes, those who are prepared for the moment, have an opportunity to capture the moment. Those who are not miss the moment, and when you miss the moment, you lose momentum.
I've seen a lot of football games like that where, that the Brady one is extraordinary, but I've seen a lot of games where, there's that momentum and the people are beaten down, and then you'll see like a change up. And it's probably happened with the Raiders where I'm like, oh, they're going to come back. They got an interception, or the holy roller, maybe, things like that change the dynamic of the game. But then they just blow it again. We used to be known for 300 to 400 yards of penalties every fucking game when Al Davis was alive. I think we still are. I don't know. Maybe things have improved.
Maybe Al Davis is still alive and you just don't know it.
I don't know. I wish they'd sold the team. Let's just put it that way. It's the owners at this point. But that's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. Anyway, I was good friends with somebody who played. He won the Super Bowl back in the day with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Big, giant dude. He always got in trouble with the NFL running through the other sideline. You may know who it was, but name escapes me. But I asked him one day, I go, why do the Raiders do this crap with the penalties? And they're basically losing games at 300 to 400 yards of penalties. And he goes, dude, they're still playing like 70s football. Like Al Davis is still. But I saw moments where it would change, and you're right, but then it would flip back. Yeah. And they weren't ready for that moment, so the momentum would still be carried by that thing. Let me ask you this: how much does this come down to the leader? Because Tom Brady, I don't think you could have pulled that off if Tom Brady wasn't out there, going, "We got this."
Yeah, no, I think there's so. Again, I'll share the model with you, Chris, if you want to throw it into your show notes. But
sure.
But the top across the very top of the model is leadership. Everything rises and falls with leadership. So you have to have leadership who believes and is willing to do the work. The first circle, which occurs before the spark, is where you create the proper culture within the organization. That's a culture in which there's that belief system exists, that we're going to do hard work on the front end because when the moment arrives, we're going to be better prepared than anybody else. So create that right culture. Then you have to recruit the right people for that culture. And if you're trying to be a momentous organization, an organization that can take advantage of momentum, one of the elements of recruiting is you want to recruit people who can cheer for each other, right? If you make an interception, I'm going to be the first one there, just like losing my mind, happy for you, because when you're successful, I'm successful. There's a theory in the world of neuroscience, or not a theory, actually, many people believe it's been proven at this stage, called mirror neurons. And that's where if we are on the same wavelength, if we're the proper teammates and you experience something of incredible joy, I feel that joy too, right? Mirror neurons, the easiest way to explain them is you walk into a room and somebody yawns. What do? Most people yawn.
Everyone else yawns, yeah.
Right,
everyone kind of copies
it's because if you're kind of in the right environment, if people are sitting and suddenly somebody does something, everybody else is like, oh, I kind of feel like I could do that too. If that is just as present in a corporate environment, if you make the big sale and I am jealous, if I look at you and go, damn, that should have been my sale. Like, are you kidding me? Why did that guy, he's going to get all this love. Everybody's going to be talking about him all week long. And you know what? Here's the deal. I'm just as good as him. If instead of celebrating you, I'm jealous of you, if instead of celebrating you, I'm actually looking for an opportunity to undo you, what'll ultimately happen? And we've been in those environments, right? We've been in those environments where sabotage. Somebody is not happy. In this book, it's one of the rare places. This is where we use a negative example to make our point. You might remember the Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan.
The Bulls.
They win 3 NBA titles, and then Jordan decides to go play baseball. Dumbest move ever. But he decides to go play baseball. Mm-hmm. And when he does, the Bulls turn to Jordan's right-hand guy, Scottie Pippen, to be the leader of the team. He's the second best player when Michael's on the court. Best player, he's going to be our leader. Mm-hmm. But at the end of that first season, where Scottie Pippen is the leader of the team, they're playing the New York Knicks in the playoffs. It's game 3. Scores tied. Just a few seconds left. Phil Jackson calls a timeout. Scottie Pippen comes to the sideline. I'm the star now, right? I'm the A-dog. I'm the Michael Jordan of this moment. I should take the shot. Phil Jackson draws a play up for another player named Tony Kukoc, who was on that team, to take the shot. The timeout ends. Scottie Pippen refuses to go off the bench. He says, if I'm not the guy that's going to take the shot, I don't even need to be on the court.
Wow.
Phil Jackson calls a second timeout, and they get into a heated screaming match at each other. They curse each other, and then they have to send somebody else on the court to take Scottie's place.
Wow.
From that moment on, Scottie Pippen no longer had the respect of his teammates because the moment was about him, not about the team. It was about what I need to do to make me more to elevate me, not what I need to do to help the team win the game.
Wow.
And even to this day, Chris, I still am active with NBA teams. Even to this day, if you commit a very selfish act on the court, it's still referred to as pulling a Pippen.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Kids who don't even know, who never watched Scottie Pippen play, still know that a selfish act is pulling a Pippen because that's how selfish that moment was. If you have those kinds of people on your team who the moment has to be about me, you'll never really build momentum because momentum is a collective act of us moving together in unison to accomplish something massive, right?
Wow.
A great comeback, a great opportunity. So you recruit the right people, you build the right culture, and then you prepare for the moment. One of the best interviews we did, one of the most enjoyable interviews, was with a basketball coach named Buzz Williams. Buzz was at Texas A&M for the last few years. Now he's at Maryland. Buzz Williams was one of the things that was so great is that he shared how he prepared his players to be ready for the big moment. And what he would, so I'm sitting there in his office, and suddenly a player walks by. He says, "Hey, Chris Voss, get in here." And he opens up his laptop, and on the screen is a video from an event that occurred the night before. Now it was not basketball. It might have been baseball. It might have been women's volleyball. Whatever it was some event. And you're watching it. He's making you, Chris, watch this video. And you don't know when, but he's going to turn the laptop. He's going to close the laptop at any given moment. And when he does, he looks at you and says, what's the time that's left in the game right now? What's the score at this moment? And who has momentum? And what he wants is his players to think about those things at all times. And he makes it as important to them to understand time, score, momentum as it is to go work out, as it is to go in the gym and put up 100 jump shots. He wants this mental frame to be, I'm aware of the situation so wonderfully that I'm ready when the moment occurs. I'll be there. I'm ready. And if you've got the right team, you get the right culture, you've recruited the right people, and they're aware and they're looking out for moments, what will happen is that when a moment occurs, you can explode with the moment. Most people miss the moment, as I said.
Yeah. Did they maybe miss the moment because they've kind of given up in their head? They're like, we're losing, we're getting our ass beaten, we're behind the 8 ball. It's the odds are looking bad. That's the negative self-talk, I guess.
Yeah, negative. So it is. Remember, a state of mind. That's what I said. It's the
all mindset.
And so if state of mind is important, then, but if you understand that we're constantly working to be ready for moments. Yeah. In the corporate world, one of the things I've seen with really amazing organizational leaders, really amazing business leaders, is they have a what if team. Right, a what if team where they would meet once a month and they would just on the whiteboard, what if, right? What if the president of the United States, crazy as this is, what if he were to impose tariffs on every country in the world? I mean, no one, it's never going to happen. Let's be honest, right? That'll never happen.
No one's that dumb.
But what if he were to do that? What would that do to our business? What if the competitor, our leading competitor, the CEO of the leading competitor, what if he were to be caught on a video at a Coldplay concert hugging up on his HR director? What if, now that'll never happen, right? I mean, nobody would ever be dumb enough to do that, right?
Yeah.
But what if, how would we react in that moment? So, the basketball coach, Buzz Williams, closes the laptop and says, tell me exactly where we are right now. In these moments, in these corporate settings, what you want to be is constantly aware of the idea that there could be changes out there in the universe that can have enormous impact on us. Yeah. But you're only going to be able to take advantage of the changes if you're aware and prepared.
Oh, aware and prepared. So it's interesting. You got to have good leadership. You got to probably have a visionary. One of the things you talked about in the book was Steve Jobs. And, I don't know how much of the story you tell, but, when you returned to Apple, it was pretty much bankrupt. They had to take a loan from IBM and stuff, right? And tell us about that. Did you delve much into the story of that?
The part of Steve Jobs that we dug into really was more a little later past that, when they started getting some momentum. How did they, because some companies, some organizations, some teams, they have one moment that they latch onto. Mm-hmm. What Steve Jobs was able to do was move from moment to moment, right? Remember, there was the whatever. What was the name of the thing that had the music? The music.
iMac. The iPod.
iPod. There's the iPod. That was the first kind of thing, and then it was, look, you can have all this music on this little device. And then it was, all right, by the way, you can do that on your phone too. Now you got an iPhone. Then, now you can do it on an iPad. So he was constantly iterating, and that's the real key to keeping momentum. People want to know, how do you keep it? Mm-hmm. And the way is, you never get comfortable with the success you have. You're constantly looking, what could be next? What could be next? And Steve Jobs was a master of these what if meetings with his team. They were constantly whiteboarding ideas of, crazy as they might be. What if this were to happen? What could we do?
Yeah, I'm laughing a little bit. One of my friends has helped build the iPhone. It used to be on those teams. I think he was Steve Jobs called him a fuck job one day because the program crashed.
Yeah, well, he was not
colorful.
He was not known as a fuzzy guy, like fuzzy guy. Like he wasn't going to be. He wasn't going to hug you when you walk down the street.
Yeah. Between him and Bill Belichick, you don't call them Mr. Warmth. So
no warmth.
Although Bill seems to be, he seems to be pretty pleasant now that he's found some love. So good for him. At least I hope he is, because
everything else is unpleasant.
That's true. Evidently, can we get him for the Raiders? I don't know. Anyway, you never know what's going to happen at the end of this season. 0-31 or 33, whatever the hell it was. So yeah, it's there's it seems like you need to mentally have the because I've been in situations where you're just getting beaten down, and I usually look for moments where, okay, maybe I can find a lane out of this, but sometimes, let me ask you this: do you think that I'm not real big with a lot of the stuff that gets sold out in the thing about, like, it's usually sold with mindset, but it's like how to manifest, your dreams or your whatever, your boyfriend.
I'm not big on that either, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not. It's that it gets a little too hocus pocus to me. I've never been walking down the street going, "Oh wow, Giselle is thinking of me right now, and she wants to date me and marry me." She must be using her mindset, or whatever. But there's kind of maybe a little bit of that manifesting. Do you think? Or
I think part of it is. The part of it is. Some people might call it manifesting, but you made reference to Brady running up and down the sideline,
he's doing the work.
Players, right?
Yeah, he wasn't sitting around with a whiteboard going.
But that was leadership at play. What he was doing was trying to change the mindset of the players who were getting their ass kicked, right? And he was trying to get them to believe that, in fact, we're only one really great moment away from turning this thing around. And I'm willing to go out and be the spark for that great moment. He said that openly, like I'm going to go do whatever it takes. And in fact, many people will, if you really study that game, there was this portion of the third quarter when they're down 28-3, and Brady is trapped behind the line of scrimmage, 3rd and 8. And he does something that every New England fan freaks out over. He runs. Tom Brady is the least athletic running quarterback in the history of the NFL. When he runs, forget Giselle. He looks like a he doesn't look like a gazelle either, right?
Yeah, he looks like that trailing gazelle that's going to go down by the lion.
Right? Exactly. In fact, the lion's already got one of his legs, and yet he takes off and does something he's not comfortable doing. All season long, he'd rushed for 8 yards one time in a play, one time. And it was 3rd and 8, but he takes off and he rushes for 15 yards. And suddenly when he gets up, his teammates are like, damn, Tom Brady, who never does that, did it to keep our drive alive. Whatever. 3 plays later, they score their first touchdown. And that began. So the spark wasn't the touchdown. The spark was the 15-yard run by a guy who never runs. And so how does that spark turn into something? Well, it was Tom Brady then going to the sideline and running up and down to the defense and saying, just get me the ball back one more time. Like we're on it right now. This is what we practiced for. Give me the ball one more time.
Yeah.
And they did. And the next thing you know, they drive, they score a field goal, and the reverse of the momentum is on.
Yeah.
And he what he did, well, I mean, it's magical. It was a hell of a Super Bowl. Yeah, I don't even know why I was still watching it, but I don't know. And I was because I'm an addict, and I admit it. And I think the first step is admitting it. And that's
I know I was watching it.
You probably
I used to never forgive Brady for stealing the Super Bowl from us over the tuck rule.
The tuck rule.
Yeah, I watched that game and I hated him ever since. But I've since learned to love him, especially now since he works with us.
Nice part of him. Yeah, exactly.
And really what changed my kind of hatred, I'll be honest, of him was that game. Like, that was the moment where I went, okay, this guy is otherworldly.
He's not a front runner.
Yeah, he's. Yeah. Remember when he's drafted?
Oh my God, it was so embarrassing. 199, baby.
They were like, this guy's never going anywhere. Oh my God, which makes you wonder how many people. But I don't know. I think he's just. I think part of the Cro-Magnon that you have to play that game. The composition of DNA and I don't know what you call it, but that. But you can't sell short his will, his education. I've watched videos of how he is prepared for games. He can, his receivers can read his mind. They know what he's going to do. Just sometimes, by the way, he'll vaguely call a play or how his eyes move. And so it's interesting, how you balance that. What you talk about in the book, the leadership, but also you've got to have the team, because you can be a great leader. We got a bunch of fuck ups working for you.
That's why recruiting is on that front circle, right? It's before the spark. If you're not recruiting the right people, you can have incredible moments come your way, and you'll probably miss them.
You'll probably miss them, and you just won't be able to get them. The thing about was it the Falcons, right? The thing about the Falcons in that game was, they were probably sitting on the sidelines and they were hearing, oh, no one comes back from this deficit, right? Ever. That's the record. We got this in the bag. They're probably telling the team, yeah, we got this in the bag, And so their mindset
get ready for the confetti.
Yeah, their mindset went to we won. It's over, And they got a touchdown. Whatever, it'll make them feel good, so they don't go cry over. They don't have too much nightmares over the postseason. And then again and again and again, and then it was like, oh shit, we better, So yeah, I
interviewed a bunch of the players who were on the field that night for this book, and one of my favorites was with a guy named Devin McCourty, who defensive back for New England, and he actually had this great line. He said, when it got down to one score, when we went from 28-3, no way, and we're down to one score with 4 minutes left, he said you could see it in the eyes told the story. And I said, well, what do you mean by that? He said their eyes got big because they knew we were coming. Wow. Our eyes got narrow because we were focused and ready to go.
Yeah.
He said the eyes told the story. It was pretty awesome.
Wild. That is wild, man. It sends chills down my spine. What do you hope people get from this book? Leaders, team members, companies utilizing this maybe in business settings as well as sports, et cetera, et cetera.
I hope that they'll get, very selfishly, what I got over the course of the 8 years, which is a new understanding that I can actually do something to manipulate momentum, that I don't have to wait. I don't have to hope. I don't have to close my eyes and pray. I can go to work today. You can go to work today to make momentum a part of your strategy, that you don't have to, it's not a want. It's not a wish. It's a want. Or do you want it? And if you want it, are you willing to work for it? And if you are, this book kind of lays out how the very best in the world do exactly that in a way that you can replicate, in a way that you can learn from and do something with.
So as we go out, thank you for coming on the show. Give us your .com so people can find you on the interwebs.
DonYaeger.com. And the book is available. The New Science of Momentum is available anywhere fine books are sold. If they're not selling my book, they're not selling fine books, by the way.
Yeah. Well, don't go in those alleyway bookstores, folks. The last time I went in, I got mugged, and I also had to get a tetanus shot and a rabies shot. Don't ask me what that was about, but I mean, it looked like a nice dog. I don't know. What do you say? Anyway, so thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Chris, thank you. In preparation to be here, I actually went on, watched a number of your shows on, and I'm really impressed. I love it, and I had a great time today. Hope you did too.
I did too, and it was wonderful. And I'm
glad you solved the problems of your Raiders the entire time. We still,
we do have Mr. Brady over there hanging out, and then I believe in our coach. I think we got a good coach finally.
He's awesome. I love Pete Carroll.
We only have 4 coaches ex-coaches on the payroll. I think that's the plan. We stack up enough ex-coaches that are on the payroll, and we basically have 4 coaches. I'm not sure that's how it works, but you're the professional in these fields of analyzing football. I just have to hide all the sharp objects every Sunday. So, but the nice thing is it's pretty much over at this point. So I have my Sundays to myself now.
Something tells me you'll still watch. The NFL is counting on it.
My phone gives it away, and I said, I just sat there and I looked at my phone screen. It kept running the score of the Kansas City Chiefs and 0. I'm like, why does it still show 0 for the Raiders? This is not updating right.
It's not updating.
There's something wrong with the phone. So
throw the phone out the window.
Yeah, and I don't. Can we just get that Kelsey guy to just marry off to what's her face and just quit the game so our Raiders can maybe have a chance? I don't know.
He's no longer your biggest threat. That's the thing.
That's true. Yeah.
They got so much. They got talent all around, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. Do you think they'll? Well, they didn't three-peat last year, and the Eagles, I think, are coming on strong. They haven't been following it, but I don't know.
I think what they have is what we were talking about. They've recruited people who don't need the ball to be theirs. I mean, remember Keyshawn Johnson's famous line, "Give me the damn ball," right? Just give me the damn ball. I mean, they have players who understand there's so much talent around that we're all going to get a chance. We're all going to get a slice of this pie. And if that can work to their advantage, it's going to be pretty impressive.
Well, thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris. I appreciate it. Thanks to you. Thanks for sharing this story.
Thank you. And thanks, Jonas, for tuning in. Order the book, like we say, wherever fine books are sold. Stay away those alleyway bookstores. And order the book. I got it on my audiobook library I have to listen to. It is called The New Science of Momentum, How the Best Coaches and Leaders Build a Fire from a Single Spark. You should utilize it. Always have great leadership folks or aspire to it. And then you find great people that will follow that leadership, and you can move mountains. It's really interesting. Yeah, cheer for each other. Yeah, build everybody, all the ships sail in the same direction, as they say. Is that from Godfather? Anyway, guys, thank you very much for coming to the show. Thanks, John, for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, YouTube.com/Chris Voss. And yes, I think that was from Godfather 2 or 3. I think it was from 3. All the ships must sail in the same direction, says the Italian guy.
You ever wonder how your brain works? Because it's all over the place.
I have a lot of ADHD, trauma from childhood, and OCD. Squirrel! Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next time. I think it's some psychosis, too.